Namaste. Hi, we are here. My name is Patrick Miller. I'm here to interview Michael Dove today. Um, I'm a longtime friend of Michael Dove, and I've apprenticed with Michael Dove for a few years. And I had the great pleasure of going to spend some time with Michael Dove in Varanasi, where he calls home. I first met Michael in Encinitas through some groups he was leading, teaching, and he's a great friend of my mom and our family, and and then Michael Dove since then has also come to visit here in Oregon from India. So uh, just great pleasure to be able to interview Michael Dove today, and so let's bring Michael Dove on screen and we'll get started with that. Namaste,
Hello,
Michael.
Patrick. Namaste. Namaste. It's so good to see you again. Um, we've had some really wonderful times together, especially when you came to visit me here in India. And we had so many great and deep spiritual adventures together. So I'm so excited to be interviewed by you because I know that you're going to ask the most insightful, deep questions, and it's going to be very rich for everyone listening, and just a great deal of fun. So I'm ready.
Well, thank you, Michael. Yeah, very honored to be able to chat with you and interview you, and always a joy to be with you. So I thought we could start off today. What I really wanted to hear to start off with just is tell us a little about you, your background, what you do, what you currently do, and maybe we'll start there. So maybe just some background around what you offer people and what you sort of are doing there in India.
Okay, okay. I I'm a teacher here in India. I showed up in India a little over 5 years ago, uh, and when I arrived in India, I was already working and being a spiritual teacher. But since I've been here, I've been able to do a great deal of meaningful service for people. So it's been allowing me to be creative in terms of create programs and teachings and workshops and projects and things. So I've been very busy, and also my experience of growth and personal growth has been what I would describe as profound, and it's been such a honor, quite an extraordinary honor, to be able to guide other individuals into their own realization, and that's been probably the most meaningful thing for me at this point.
How did you get into this work that you do? Take us as far back as you need to.
Hmm.
We can even start, in your childhood. But I'd love to,
Oh,
kind of understand where did Michael Dove come from? And
ah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It was interesting because I was in anticipation of this interview. I've been sort of kind of reflecting on that a little bit, and when I think about like my beginnings, my childhood, of course, it's only relevant in far as how it has uh, led me and directed me and created the conditions for the kind of work that I do now. You see, and so looking at it from that perspective, my earliest memories were ones of when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old, I used to like play sadhu. And my mother can attest to this, that I would like sit around and just sort of, with like a blanket over me and just sort of like meditate and look, and balance and find my center. And my mom thought it was it was like kind of odd that's what I was occupying myself with as a little kid. And it's only as a mature adult that when I am hanging out on the banks of the Ganges, hanging with the sadhus, that I made the connection that that's what I was doing as a little kid. So there was this, apparent, well, I feel like was a past life bleed through, if you will. It's like a memory. There was this sense of connection and continuity with that identity. You see, and so I bring this up because it's a kind of like a defining theme that kind of runs from my childhood into my early adulthood and my maturity and my growth, that I was always seized with this sense of spiritual curiosity. I knew that there was something. I knew that there was something to know. And from my earliest years, again, my mother can attest to this, that I wanted to know everything. I wanted to see everything and know everything. So there was always that quality that kind of propelled my visionary spiritual imagination, to know. Because of that attitude and that spirit, it allowed me to, well, I'll say it like this. I was allowed to be in proximity to very, very wise people who were really taken and fascinated by the idea of this young person that absolutely wanted to learn, that wanted to hear. It's like, and would sit for hours, like to hear their whole story, the whole life, all of their wisdom. So there were these very extraordinary individuals that I was able to cross paths with and connect to. So there was a sense of always having had powerful teachers at every step of the way of my growth and my maturity. So this is what I count as my real education. Studied many other things in other areas, but in terms of like my real, most relevant, most meaningful education, I would say that it is this. This consistency of experience of always having been powerfully mentored. And so this has impressed me so that this is essentially how I teach now. That it's about that quality of mentorship, that is about like being present and essentially like saturating the mentee with the information, but also with the energy, the vibration, to be held in the flow, held in a flow of wisdom. It's like, another way of saying it is like to invoke a baptismal kind of experience, to be immersed, to facilitate a kind of a sacred immersion for which the individual becomes acclimated. They become they absorb and soak in and become acclimated with the energy, that source point where the wisdom, the truth, if you will, kind of originates. So that's been like my approach. But I think that's the most relevant thing in terms of like where I come from,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and how to engage with people.
Yeah. Who are some of your mentors? And then, well, let's start there. Who were some of the mentors for
Oh,
you
okay.
that were?
Some were very well known. Some were very well known, and some were more obscure. Like my father was one of the powerful mentors for me. My dad was a famous blues man,
Mhm.
so I was mentored from an early age by an old blues man,
Mhm.
from the South, who happened to be my dad. So I spent many hours learning from him, but also figures like Harry Hay, who was a great political spiritual leader, the founder of the LGBT movement.
Mhm.
I spent time in the desert with Don Juan,
Mhm.
and he taught me, very specific things. My time with him, um, about energy, plants, and herbs and crystals and things like that. Um, let's
Mhm.
see, a man named Bill Bauman was very key in terms of like giving me certain keys of realization to work with, and some other rather obscure yet profound people. Some were that I just had short brushes with, but were quite profound and transformative too, in a very almost spontaneous
Mhm.
Shaktipat-like download sort of way. So I spent
Yeah.
time in Africa. Yeah, so I spent time in Africa with an elder of the Khoisan people of the Kalahari, and that was quite profound, and uh, and also some Native American medicine people
Mhm.
as well. But this is kind of like, just this kind of like a thumbnail
Mhm.
kind of sketch. There's
Yeah.
one really profound woman uh, teacher named Chris Abdallah, who gave me a lot of very key specific information that I kind of studied with her for a while too.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
you know but a question like that is that it's actually kind of so vast. It's
Yeah.
like, well, where do you stop? It just goes on and on and on. you know
Yeah. I knew we were just going to kind of get a taste of but thank you. And I know that you spent a lot of time in San Diego. I know that you were born in Texas,
hmm
grew up as a child in Texas, but you moved early on to San Diego, near Camp Pendleton in Oceanside. And
yeah.
I know that you taught in Southern California. You did a lot of would you say that's kind of where your work started, was in San
uh,
Diego?
yes, in San Diego. It's like I was born in Texas, then moved to San Diego County when I was a baby.
Okay.
Okay, little baby. But it was very interesting because going way back again, um, I was living with my mom, my stepdad, um, on Camp Pendleton,
Hmm.
and it was very significant, especially in hindsight, because there was in on a Marine Corps base during the Vietnam era.
Hmm.
So, in a very real sense, I was sort of steeped in these energies of this major geopolitical conflict, this war, around individuals who were actually the ones who would go out and fight it
Mhm.
and be in it. So I was very much introduced to the vibration of warriors and warriorship, you see, which is very significant in terms of the way that I have been accustomed to engaging in the spiritual pursuit. You see, there is that quality of warriorship. You go out and you pursue, and you're driven by just like a sense of noble service that is bigger than you as an individual. You see what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
like those were like these energetic seeds or origin points that also serve to kind of propel me, which
Mhm.
of course allows me and has given me kind of like a template or a blueprint, if you will, that encouraged me to study like around the world. You see, so I've went all through like Latin America
Mhm.
and Africa and throughout Europe and Northern Europe and Eastern Europe and into the Mediterranean and throughout Asia and but that a kind of the kind and quality of fearlessness that real spiritual pursuit requires.
Mhm.
You see, and it's the kind of thing that I've always encouraged with people. You see, because I understand that it takes a certain audacity.
Mhm.
It takes a certain fierceness. You know, it's like it's analogous to it's like Paramahansa Yogananda.
Mhm.
His caste and orientation was of Kshatriya, which he was of the warrior caste. And you see, and
Mhm.
so that relentless pursuit, you see, to move into where where it was not easy. You see,
Mhm.
in pursuit of the greater, of a greater, more transcendent goal. It's kind of like it was a necessary spirit, and so this is why I look back at my early childhood experience in those energies as significant.
Wonderful. Um, I want to. We're going to get into more interesting questions, I think. But I wanted to touch on next, sort of how you got to Varanasi, and maybe the story behind that a
Oh
little bit.
yes,
Yeah.
oh yes, 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 yeah. Well, it was, uh, as in any good story, you really want to create the context in order to truly appreciate it, in order
Hmm.
to truly get it. Uh, at the time, prior to that, about a year or so prior, I was kind of disengaging from where I was. It's like my apartment and everything. And I remember sitting in my apartment, sort of looking around and realizing that, you know what, saying to myself, like, I have zero attachment
Hmm.
to any of this. It's like zero, none. It was just quite a clear, profound kind of realization of no attachment. And so I decided just to get rid of everything, and I'm going to get a van, and then I'm going to just like renovate it completely myself, build it myself, inside and out and everything. Take out seats, do everything, and with a bed, a kitchen, shelves, stove, shower, everything. And so I decided to do that. And I did that for about, I did that. So I did it. Yeah. And for about 8 months, that's what I did. And had an absolutely glorious time. It was as fun as I imagined that it would be. You know, I'd wake up on the beach. I'd wake up in the desert. I would wake up in the mountains and different cities. And so it was amazing. It was amazing for about 8 months. And I remember once I was in Palm Springs, you know, and I was doing like little babysitting for my sister, you know, my little nephew and everything. I was in a Starbucks in Palm Springs having breakfast, and I decided to, like, you know, I was thinking that, well, wouldn't it be interesting to go to Vietnam? And I thought, but then the thought came, well, what about in India? It just sort of popped in my mind. India. So, okay, well, let me do this. Had my computer there at my breakfast and whatnot. And I looked up flight tickets to India, like round trip tickets. And I looked it up, and the price came up, and I go, oh my God, I can afford this. Oh my God. And then it was right at that instant that I was like engulfed with this knowing. It's like I just had this realization, this knowing that, oh my God, I'm going to India. It's like right then and there, I knew I was going to India. And so I immediately purchased the ticket before I finished my breakfast, even before I finished my espresso. I had purchased the ticket and set the whole ball rolling. So as the time, rolled around, be preparing to go and everything, and so went to make a longer story short. As I fly out of LAX, I'm getting this anxious feeling that, okay, I really have to go. I have to get on this plane because things seem to be kind of shaky in the States. Can't quite put one's finger on it, but things seem kind of shaky.
Yeah, just to get people a time frame, this is right around the pandemic, right?
Exactly. This was about early March 2020.
Yeah.
Early 3, 4 of March 2020. So on the 4th, I get on the plane, out of LAX, and I just felt such a relief to, like, okay, I'm on the plane. That's all I need.
We'd only just started to hear rumblings of this virus thing, and no one really knew what was going on yet. But But so here you are. You find yourself on this plane, and you're getting this sense of like, I might be getting out of Dodge just in time here.
Yeah, well, I had just a vague sense of that, but I was just so glad to get on the plane, and so finally, got on the plane, layover in UAE, and then finally land in Delhi, like out many hours later, 30, 35 hours later or so. And then, go over to my hostel in the Old Bazaar district. And, you're dead tired after that, like, kind of a flight. So next day I wake up, I check my email and stuff, and everybody's freaking out. The lockdown had just happened. And then I realized that, oh my God, America shut down essentially while I was in mid-flight. So by the time I landed in Delhi, it's as if the drawbridge was pulled up.
So you got emails from friends and family, people who were concerned or just were.
Well, yeah, everybody was just like, besides themselves. They didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like, what just happened here?
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so it was like, okay, I'm just sort of dealing with, okay, I'm in the Old Bazaar of Delhi now. I don't have time to think about it. Just like, okay, this is happening. So I spent about 13, 14 days or so in Delhi, running around doing all the things that I wanted to do. People are starting to prepare with masks and things and all of that. So finally I decide, okay, I'm going to take the train, as I had planned, the train up to Varanasi,
Hmm.
the great holy city of India. Take the train up there, and I'd only planned to be there for about 7 days, just to visit and see, take boat rides and whatnot. So I take the train up there. It's like an 8-hour trip. But by the time I arrive in Varanasi, Delhi had shut down. So whenever I'm always just sort of leaving right in time, just before the place where I was would shut down.
Hmm.
And so finally arrived in Varanasi about 8 hours later. Came right here, and about 2 days later, Varanasi kind of shut down.
Hmm.
And then
And all the
Nandalaj,
trains at that point shut
all
down,
the
right?
trains, everything, just like, you know,
So you were on one of the last
everything was in
planes.
lockdown.
You were on,
Last
and then
trip,
you were on one of the last trains.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I
Wow.
arrive here, Varanasi shuts down, and then they tell me that, okay, they're evacuating all the Americans, like the last flights out of India,
Hmm.
and then I have like 12 hours to decide.
So the government officials came to the hostel and were talking to all the
They
hostel
they
people.
told everybody, yep, that was the word from on
Hmm.
high. It's like, okay, this is
Hmm.
what it is. And
Hmm.
then they gave me 12 hours to decide whether I was going to go or stay or what. And so I said, let me sleep on it. So the next day when I woke up and they came, Nandalaj, whom you know, came to
Hmm.
my room and asked, well, what do you decide? And I said, you know, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to stay and see what happens. Okay. Now, that was over 5 years ago, and I'm still
Hmm.
here.
Yeah, so I mean, what a remarkable timing to arrive in Varanasi, this amazing, incredible holy city that is normally full of thousands, tens of thousands of, pilgrims on a daily
Yeah,
basis come there. It's a very active city. There's celebrations on the Ganges every day.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very lively holy city, and you find yourself kind of at a very unique time in history to be arriving in this city.
Precisely, because it's like, okay, it shuts down. There are no pilgrims anymore. All right, no pilgrims, no tourists. I'm like the one of the very, very few Westerners around now. It's like quiet, and then and there's a curfew, and there's all of that. So it's like suddenly Varanasi is different. It's changed. Interestingly enough, I think it's kind of like um, it's essentially it becomes like old Varanasi before the tourists, before everything. So it's like I'm suddenly I'm getting to experience Varanasi the way it was hundreds of years ago. You see, and I'm here.
Hmm.
I'm here with the community and everything, and we're just like trying to figure, because COVID is raging. There's all
Hmm.
kinds of stuff, and we're trying to figure out what to do. Okay, it becomes like, all right, how does the community survive?
Hmm.
We know that all the holy men, the sadhus, the babas, the people that are here in the holy city that depend on like donations and the whole tradition of what they call the dawn, which is like donations and stuff because these are like their tradition is to like beg or wait for food to be given
Yeah.
and such. And so there wasn't a lot of that happening, and so there was this sense of emergency
Hmm.
about the whole place. And so as time went on, we kind of get a sense of, okay, this is the deal, this is where we are at, this is what we're dealing with, and such. And so it was at that point that I had some friends wanting, when I would tell them that that the holy people are not getting what they need and everything. And so I had some friends who very wonderfully just have volunteered to say, well, if I sent some money, could you help?
Mhm.
I said, okay, I'll figure something out. Yes, I would figure out a way to be of service somehow. And so it was at that point, that was kind of like the impetus that I got together with uh, the fellows here. Ricky G was like helping me out greatly and everything. So we got together and came up with creating a charity.
Mhm.
You know, I know a little bit about marketing. Friends and family in America, they knew about the distribution and putting things together here. So we just created this international charity. So I had friends and family donating money. We would get, you know, food and then hire the community to do the cooking and such. And then we would hire drivers and such, and created this whole distribution system where we would distribute boxed meals to the holy people on the Ganges and in the more impoverished neighborhoods and such. So we would give food away, but also significantly, we would be able to hire the people of the community, the village, essentially the local village. We would hire people to cook and such, and we called it Meals on the Ganges. Yeah, Meals on the Ganges, and we kept this going throughout the height of the pandemic. You see, on a regular basis, but we were able to keep enough money flowing through the community so that it helped everybody survive.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's to get all the basic need things, so that we help keep the community together and surviving, and also keep the doors open of this guest house where I live. We kept it going.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We kept so it was really quite an amazing time, because we did all kinds of fundraisers and creative things, of which you participated in too, when we created the first webathon for charity. You know, all the artists and musicians and spoken word people and everything to online to create this event to help fund Meals on the Ganges.
That's right.
So it was an amazing time in a uniquely historic period of this holy city, and everybody came together. Everybody came together, and we really did it. And we ended up feeding over 6,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some incredible photographs of you and your team and all the people there working together to cook the meals and distribute them, and you're providing, the meals to everybody, but also there was more to it than that. It was really like energetically uplifting the consciousness at that time.
Precisely, because because it let the community know that there were other people that cared and were interested and were involved. So it was on many levels. There was this powerful kind of like cultural exchange and connection. There was this model of cooperation. How to engage in a worldwide catastrophic situations, like how to engage, how to keep the community going and everything, and have good outcomes. You see, and so it was really powerful, very spiritual.
Yeah, it's such an incredible story, and I'm so glad we're talking about it. I was thinking back on your childhood, and you were talking about that warrior background, but it's almost like there was this call to action. You were like almost you had this intuitive sense you were on sort of a mission, and it's like you were just following. And you get there, and there you find yourself in the middle of this situation, and it's like you had, everything that you had been, all your training, all your background was like had prepared you for this moment, and you had all the experience, the marketing, the community building, and you were able to pull together people from the United States through the spiritual first responders. So you created the online group, and you created the website, and then you started, and you got everyone together, and you even had, you even had outfits that you made. Everyone was wearing
yes,
these.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
We
tell us
had
about that.
uniforms.
Yeah.
We had full uniforms. We had like the white pajama cotas, with the blue uniforms and everything, and the gloves, the masks, and all of this. And what we distributed were these boxed meals, but we would give them like water, like clean bottled water, and we would also distribute some white cloths, which are called gumshas, which was like it's traditional to this region. It's very useful. You can wrap it. You can make a turban out of it. You can, and it's so utilitarian. So it's just a traditional part of this region. So when we would distribute the meals, we would give the people the meal, the water. I think in some cases we had like hand sanitizer kinds of things to distribute as well. But we would also make a ritual aspect out of it by placing the gumsha, the cloth, over their neck, and as an expression of connection. It's like, we see your humanity. We touch and meet your humanity. You see, and so it was one of the just an extraordinarily powerful time and era.
Yeah. What and the men and the women that you were working with on this, I know I've met quite a few of them when I came to visit, and it was just extraordinary. And I know that they're like family now, and this whole to you. But it was just incredible to see how they all came together, and that opportunity for them to serve their community in such a way, is just such an important thing. About community is such an important thing, and to be able to give back and serve your community. So I'm sure for them it was a very meaningful and extraordinary experience.
Yeah, it was quite bonding. It was bonding, and it was important for for me too. And I think this is very key. And see if this makes sense. It's like I showed up at the right time, but in a very real way, they were kind of like saving me too. It's like I was kind of at that instant I was kind of a refugee. You see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I only decided to visit this city for 7 days. Wanted to take a boat ride or two, do some selfies next to temples and stuff. Send it back home. Hey guys, see where I am. That was it. Then I get kind of drawn into this experience, this full-blown experience, and it's like again, I hearken back to my original sense of curiosity and wanting to know. It's like, okay, what's going to happen next? I've got to stay. I want to see how this goes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more I stayed, it's like the more unfolded, like more magnificence, more wonder, more excitement, more meaning unfolded just by being here, watching, being present. Naturally, this very great, profound chapter, not just for me, but for everybody kind of around me, was sort of happening. You see, so that was kind of like the attitude, the spirit.
Yeah, it's truly a remarkable experience. This foreigner shows up from America, there in the hostel, and all of a sudden you're all together in this situation.
Hmm.
They barely know you, you barely know them, and immediately you're thrust into a situation together to work together to
Oh
survive
yeah,
and to help the community survive and to go serve this
yeah.
community. And like you said, this incredible bonding experience. And now here you are 5 years later, you're still living in this hostel with you're still
Oh
you're
yes, yeah.
essentially part of this family now.
Yeah, exactly. We've become family, and I sort of have been adopted into about at least three families, yeah, so far, and so that's the how it is, and of course there's many other profound reasons why I'm here and how it all informs and defines my work and how I engage with people and how others have benefited um, in their own way.
Yeah.
You see,
Let's get into that a little bit. So, what's it like living in Varanasi? You've been there for 5 years now,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you've been working from Varanasi, and this has really been become your home,
Hmm.
and is sort of the headquarters of your global work, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, Varanasi, of course, it's an utterly unique place. There is no other place like it on the planet. It is considered the holiest city in India, and India itself is a holy place. It is the seat of spirituality in a very real sense, uh, or one of the, for the world in a unique kind of way. There are other holy places on the planet, but India has its own place, its own positioning in that sense. And so Varanasi is sort of like this city is sort of like the jewel in that sense. Now, it's the city. This is the city in which Hindus from all over the world they understand that if it's revered that and there's a belief that if you died, passed away in Varanasi, you are immediately you are liberated. It's considered a very, very auspicious and wondrous thing to die, to pass away in Varanasi, because it's like the fast track to liberation. So this is so in a sense, it's like this is a city of death, but it's like city of death and renewal. So there are uh, there are almost like 24/7. They're burning bodies, cremating bodies on the banks of the Ganges, like right, within 20-30 minute walk from here. You can go to the cremation grounds. You see, and
Yeah, we went there. You took me there.
yes,
The-
yes.
I'm trying to remember. Mana, which the name of the gap we went? There's a
Well,
quite there's
Manakan
yeah,
Ghat, which is
Monacan Ghat.
the
That's
big
the big
burning
one.
gas. Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's quite a few of them, but that's the big one there, right next
Hmm.
to that very large temple, Vishwanath temple.
Yeah, the Vishwanath temple. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And so this is like an extremely holy city, you see, and it's a very so the city itself is the entire city is considered a temple. So if you're in the city, you're actually living in a temple, you see, and um, so it's basically I find it an extraordinary privilege that I get to live here. You see, just on that level, you see, and so so you ask, like, what's it like living here? I would say that it's almost like basically on like two tiers. One is that it's just the regular. It's like a regular neighborhood in the sense. It just it's like the people everywhere I go. People say, "Hey, Michael! Hi, Michael! Hi, Michael!" Or Michael, sir, or Baba. So it's like at everywhere I go, I run into people that I know and everything. So it's just the neighborhood, the shopkeepers, the lassi sellers, the vegetable people, and the fruit sellers, and I know some of the holy people, the local babas and such. So this is just where I live on that practical, almost quote mundane level kind of thing. But at the same time, there's this overarching awareness, this knowing that it's an utterly charged place. It's like the auspiciousness and the holiness of just simply being here and seeing everything speaks to and nurtures the soul in a unique way. It's like the especially when, because the Ganges, the Ganga, which is the holy river that runs right through it. Okay, it's a sacred, it's a profoundly sacred river. But when you're along the Ganges and you're looking at the curve of that distinctive classical curve of the layout of the city, and you're seeing these ancient temples, the burning ghats and everything, on a spiritual level, again, speaking in very explicit spiritual terms, on a spiritual level, there's this awareness. There's this clear awareness that you are absolutely at the intersection of heaven and earth. You're at the intersection of heaven and earth, which is part of why it's considered this extraordinary, this great planetary portal of liberation. And if you die here, you ascend. There's like this pull of ascension that is part of the nature of the city. You see, a spiritual ascension is just a constant that's there. So it's like you're at the intersection of heaven and earth, at the portal, at the edge, at the gate, so to speak, but it's there constantly. And so at the same time, you're living with that awareness too. That's a constant truth that is there. At the same time, you're just living your regular life, hanging out, sipping chai with the boatman, and and going to market and doing all this stuff. And so this is, in a thumbnail sense, kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it's the city of Shiva, and like you said, the city is like a temple. There, every morning and every evening, there are ceremonies happening on the river, and it just operates in that way where the culture is constantly sort of revitalizing that spiritual awareness, I guess, of the city.
Yeah, exactly. It's ever renewing, because the other key factor is that it is probably the oldest living city on the planet.
Right.
The oldest, meaning it is thousands of years old.
Yeah, continuously inhabited for thousands and thousands of years.
For thousands of years. As a matter of fact, it's so old it doesn't know how old it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's so old it's forgotten things several times over and had to remember it all over again.
Yeah, and the burning ghats, I know that at the Monacan Ghat they have that eternal flame that has literally been burning for I don't know thousands of years.
They say it's been burning for 3,500 years.
Yeah, and the priests have been keeping this fire going for over 3,000 years.
Yeah, there's a lineage of a priesthood that their role is the maintenance of this eternal flame, and it's been burning, as they say, for 3,500 years. So it's like that's the kind of thing where you're having a regular experience, but you're living next to things that are just mind-blowingly extraordinary at the same time.
Yeah. Um, well, so you've now been doing a lot of teaching online there, and I know
Hmm.
you've actually been traveling a bit as well.
Hmm.
And I know you've been also been traveling outside of the country a bit.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, tell us a little bit about, so now you've been in Varanasi, and you're like, really integrated into the city, and you've been teaching remotely over to all your students all over the world online from
Hmm.
using
Yeah.
Zoom. Um, and I know that you've been traveling. Tell us about some of your recent travels, and and how
Yes.
that's
Yes.
influenced your sort of your
Oh.
teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. It's recently, mostly it's been around different parts of Asia. And so, oh gosh. So with that, I've been to the Himalayas, into Nepal, a number of times. I think 5 times now, to the Himalayas, and I would say the most significant thing about it is, like, every time I'm find myself there, or I'm called there, there's an experience of, like, spiritual download that occurs. It's like when you're in the Himalayan mountains, that's what it's known for, and I found that to be true. I found that to be the case. It's like you show up and then you get, like, new instructions, new marching orders, so to speak. And I've been able to do teaching from the Himalayas and everything too, on occasion as well. So that's been significant on a spiritual level, and it's like a counterpoint, in a sense. You could leave the holy city of Varanasi and go into the Himalayas, and then come back and go back and forth a few times. So this is like a classical sojourn. You see what
Very
I'm saying?
classical. Yeah, that's
Very
very classical.
classical in that sense. But I've also had extraordinary times in, like, Vietnam, some of the more Buddhist countries. So I spent time in Vietnam, and I've been to Vietnam like 3 times, and visit the temples and things there, and connected with the people and such. Um, Spending time in Cambodia. Cambodia is quite amazing. I visited Angkor Wat, the great temple there that started off as a Vishnu temple, from the ancient times, and it's also a Buddhist temple now, centered now. But that was a profound kind of experience. Uh, you know, a dear friend of mine, Cynthia Marlowe, and we snuck into Bhutan. Don't tell anybody about this. We snuck into Bhutan through the jungle in the back in the back way.
I don't even think it was intentional, right? It was.
No, it wasn't intentional. We weren't, but we did sneak into Bhutan through the jungle in the back way, and spent time. Then came back.
Yeah. You've had
To
so many remarkable experiences we could get into. I
Yes,
know I
yes,
know that we don't have enough time to get into all of them, but
yeah, exactly.
I wanted to, this knowing that you always wanted to have as a child, and sort of where it's led you to, and
Hmm.
how does that, I think that that's a big part of your work, is really helping people get in touch with that eternal truth. Um,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like as I reflect back, and sort of reflecting back on the journey, and then you can, you kind of assess, well, okay, well, what does it mean? What's the value? What's this about? And, what is the message? What is the message? And it is, to a significant degree, I'm sort of modeling how to do this. Is like, how do you live a meaningful spiritual life, or what is a good way to do so? It's like, okay, the maintenance of the sacred curiosity, and
Hmm.
letting the sacred curiosity guide, and then following it, you see, don't hold back. You listen to the guidance, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, but a willingness to say yes and to go, and then you are led to where you need to be. And then, what I always tell people is the key when people ask me is like, well, how are you able to do what you do? How are you able to be that? And I say that the answer is almost too simple. You see, the answer is to simply pay attention. Just pay attention. Look at what's in front of you and maintain your curiosity. Okay, what does this mean? What is the meaning of this? And you sit, and then the answer will come. There is always an answer. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, that's kind of like this attitude, this spirit that I recognize now, certainly in hindsight, that I had from the beginning. You see, the sacred curiosity. Follow the sacred curiosity. It's there. I believe it's there. It's there within all of us. If maybe some people have had it obscured or covered up or whatnot, or they've not felt the inner sense of permission, the permission to follow it. But I would assert that it is indeed there, and it's okay, and to follow it. And it's like, but speaking about like me being here, there's this aspect of my presence here, a whole narrative that I feel like is also very, very key and important. It's like what I've discovered, what I've realized and I've discovered throughout this whole sojourn about my own lineage and connection. Like to Varanasi, to Benares, and to India. And, I discovered that about, there we are. I discovered that about 3 months in here, living here, my dad had told me that, a woman was writing a book, about our family. And the name of the book was called Sold. He didn't know very much about it. And, and when I was chatting with my dad from here, from India, he told, I asked him about it. It's like, well, did the book come out? And he said, oh, yeah, it's been out for about a week now. I said, okay, I'll check it out. I'll go on. And he said, the best way to find out about it is to go online, go on Amazon and look it up. He gave me the name of the author. The name of the authors was Cynthia Marlowe. And so so I check it out. And then I read the little blurb. And yes, indeed, it's about my family, about the Dove family, the Dove family and everything. And all I knew was that the book was about something about royalty. And again, so I land here in India, not knowing any of this. I check out the a little description of the book, and the book says that it talks about a figure named Mary Dove, who was a queen, a Maharani from Cooch Behar, India, who was captured and sold into slavery. The palace was attacked, and she was captured along with, as one of 7 women from the harem, and were sold into slavery. And so Mary Dove Maharani was like my 9th generation back grandmother. And, so, which kind of blew my mind, and going, what? I've got, related to, I'm descended from Indian royalty. And then, then they gave me the name of the family was Narayan. So I'm checking out, okay, the Narayan royal family. Let me check this out. So I do a little simple minute of Google searching. I found out that the Narayan royal family were the royal family of Benares.
Mm-hmm.
They're the royal family of Varanasi,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of blew my mind. I was quite flabbergasted that what I'm descended from the royal family of Varanasi, where I live, where I find myself now,
Yes.
and so which gives a whole context to my experience of service to the community. It's like I show up in the moment of an extraordinary crisis and dive right into service for the community, feeding people, and setting up programs that help the community sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that, oh my goodness, it's like it puts my presence there in a completely different context.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that in a very profound, a deep spiritual sense, I was essentially, this is the way that I see it, I was essentially called back.
Mm-hmm.
You see, called back to be amongst people that I have this unique and extraordinary lineage and connection to, which explains like the quality and the depth and how deep the bond has been, how I've been so integrated into the community and being so embroiled in leadership and service and everything. It's like, oh my God, that makes sense. And it took me a long time to get even acclimated to that, to that reality. But it seemed to explain. It seemed to explain a lot, and and it lets me, that I have. It's actually part of my heritage.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aspect of my heritage, and really allows me to kind of stay and integrate and be here. It's like feeling of the community, you see, and how I was just so utterly embraced and accepted and everything. It's like, oh, okay, that's a whole key aspect of the meaning of my presence here.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's just a truly incredible story of, from the moment you got on that plane till this time that you defined yourself, discovering that you are actually descended from the royal family of this city that you found yourself in, under these incredible and rarefied circumstances, and you've served your community and really become part of the fabric kind of that area now, in a way. Like, you're very integrated in, and everyone does know you now. I mean, you've been there for 5 years. That's a long time in Varanasi, for a foreigner, or a Westerner to come and stay. So since then, I know Cynthia Marlowe came to visit, and you, the author of the books about your family, and it's just incredible to find out that there was someone that was so fascinated by this story before you even met her, that she was following this trail. So she's been uncovering all the records around Mary Dove. She uncovered all these records. She went to the Congress. She went to all these courthouses in the East Coast, and she found the actual documents of Mary Dove and what actually happened with the royal family of India, actually in the 1600s, I believe, sending emissaries over to actually clear the name of this, because she was royal blood, and she was not a so I know there's more details there, and I'm sure this is a good plug for Cynthia's books here, but But yeah, there are two books, at least two books. I think she's working on a third now about this whole story about the Dove family.
Exactly. It's like the whole saga is absolutely documented, and there have been other academics and historians who've actually studied the Dove family,
Hmm.
and because they were freed from slavery because in Old English law that they could not enslave the family of a sovereign, a Maharaja, you see,
Hmm.
which is where we were descended from. So because of that, the Dove family were free, like free
Hmm.
blacks, you see, and so Cynthia Marlowe is was considered like the world's expert on the Dove family. People like Henry Louis Gates acknowledge that and is aware of, the Dove, family. I think he's of Harvard, Princeton,
Hmm.
academics so there have been people who've written about and articles and things about our family, about the lineage and everything. And so our connection to uh, the royal family of India is very solid. As a matter of fact, it was the royal historian of the Narayan royal family that first used the term the Dove line of the Narayan dynasty. So it's like an acknowledged royal line,
Hmm.
you see. So I got to be the one who has returned.
Yeah.
So I'm like the first dove to return specifically to the sites where Mary Dove, Maharani Narayan, was actually captured. The first dove to return in like 330 years, you
Wow.
see. And I'm one of probably the first dove to even speak Hindi
Hmm.
in 300 years. I think Mary Dove taught her son Hindi, but that's kind of where it ended. So I'm like the first one to come to India, go back specifically to the sites, live in the kingdom and learn Hindi
Hmm.
in over 300 years. So it's like there is this grand and amazing uh, narrative of coming full circle, of returning,
Hmm.
of like returning to the source, and it's more important, I think, than like just for us as individuals, people
Yeah.
in the family or whatnot, but it speaks to the soul
Hmm.
and the possibility of healing and recovery on a historic and geopolitical historic spiritual level of
Hmm.
returning, you see, of becoming whole again, of connecting with
Hmm.
realization and roots and such, and re and healing of communities.
Hmm.
It speaks to, in a grand sense, the connection of East and West.
Hmm.
You see, even like the uh, the foundational Black community in America
Hmm.
and the people of India
Hmm.
in an utterly unusual, rarefied way
Hmm.
connected. Okay, the so there's a great deal of meaning that is there to understand, to realize
Indeed.
of the significance.
Indeed, there is, and I know people have written a lot of, there are a lot of connections with, with Indians and Hinduism in the
Mhm.
Caribbean islands and in the
Oh
in
yes.
immigration into the United States. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a whole lot of more connection and history, and
yeah,
this
and
is
it's
another story, another testament, if you will, of that.
exactly, yeah. That's what's so great is that your story is a well documented testament to this reconnection that, and I think what you were saying earlier is like this type of reconnection is actually possible for every single person to create this
Exactly.
type of reconnection.
Exactly. There's that,
Yeah.
that level of healing, hope and healing exists. And I would say that once again, it's like the key is to maintain one's sacred curiosity.
Yes.
Understand that there is a depth of guidance
Right.
within your being that if you were to if one were to tap into it and trust it and have the courage to act on it or to allow
Mm.
yourself and to hold the sense of permission to engage it, it will yield wonders.
What is this? What has this been like for your family in particular? I know that how you sort of, were able to be the one to kind of reconnect these dots and actually
Mhm.
complete the circuitry. But then, what was it like when you shared this with your family members?
Oh, it's um, it's quite stunning. It's like to be able to lay out the story and bring um, information that instilled a sense of completeness and fulfillment.
Mm.
To like suddenly, it's like to know, and have full documentation that who you are is fits within a context, a lineage that literally goes back thousands of years. And so key, this kind of key information is spontaneously transformative because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it with relatives. It's like one dear cousin that I was speaking to just a couple weeks ago, and I was telling her that because she knows about the lineage to a degree, so I was like filling her in to more about it, and it was quite profound. So I was telling her that. Letting her know because she had a connection to India. She liked things in that she liked to go to temple. She liked Indian things, incense, and she participated in pujas and such. And here she is. She grew up this young black girl in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so it's like this. So having this is a very unusual kind of draw. And so I was able to give her information that explained why she had
Mm-hmm.
this interest, this fascination, this sense of connection. It sort of helped it make sense to her. And so when I told her informed her that she have ancestors
Mm-hmm.
who literally were characters from the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
They go all the way back to the Vedas. We have at least two ancestors who were figures in the Mahabharata, and at least one who was a figure in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And this was just extraordinary. It was just like mind blowing. And so, she was quite dumbfounded to hear that. And it's like, yes, indeed. This is as auspicious and as extraordinary as it sounds. It's like, yes, indeed. Who you are, your lineage goes all the way back to the Vedas. You see, and so this was transformative just to hear it. Just to be able to say it and hear it, and the full meaning of it. It's still unfolding. We're still kind of realizing and figuring it out and such. But it's like it's like a testament of what is possible when you kind of continue to follow the threads, so to speak, and allow yourself to do so.
Yeah, that is it's so beautiful. And can only imagine what it would be like for her to receive this information and be able to absorb it, and what that's going to mean for future. And
Mhm.
I hope at some point she comes to visit you in India.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but this sacred curiosity, it's just so critically important. And as you mentioned, this is sort of the key to really, yeah, discovering not only one's past, but reconnecting the dots for everyone back to that source. I mean, when you really go back far enough, right? I mean, we are all essentially,
Yes.
related in some level, and we're all sort of
Exactly.
descended. And
Exactly.
that is the critically important thing, that we really
Mhm.
are all, I mean, we can go even further, but we really are, sort of just this manifestation, um, of, really God in a way, right? I mean, we are.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
exactly. But because that's the overarching truth. This is
Hmm.
what we're here to know.
Right.
We're here to kind of we're here to remember. It's like to
Yes.
remember each other. It's like, yes, we look at each other. It's like, don't you recognize me?
Yeah.
Don't you? It's like we've done this all before. We were together before. We're a mirror for each other.
Yeah.
You see, because it's the great challenge of why we decide to do 3 dimensions and have a body in the first place.
Yeah.
It's for that experience.
Yeah. I think in the human condition, we have obviously, we have coincidences, or you meet people and you think, wow, that was a very profound experience. I felt like I know this person. You've had this
Hmm.
experience where it's like them, or you feel so, this connection that isn't, like, you can't explain it, but you just feel it. And I know that, I think I've almost everybody, regardless of your background, has had some experience like this where they
Oh,
recognize
certainly.
something.
Yeah.
And so there are these experiences that we have, and that it is like that sacred curiosity is kind of, is like, well, let's go a little deeper into that. What is
Yes.
it about that person? Why might I be having this sense of connection? And that curiosity is really what will lead a person, to this path of realizing who they really are.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Because if we think about it, it's like, what is the question for young children, right? Little children? What is the question that tends to get shut down first in people? You see, I would suggest that it is the question of why.
Hmm.
It's like, why is this? Why is this? And it's like, why? And finally, mom or dad or whomever says, quit asking why. We don't know, just accept or whatever. But it's like that shutting down of the curiosity, which is
Hmm.
the shutting down of the sacred inquiry, the fundamental impulse to look,
Hmm.
you see, and to pay attention and to know that there is something to know.
Hmm.
You see, you hold an abiding sense that there is something to know. There's
Hmm.
something to know, which is on a deeper sense when you think about it. It is like an abiding kind of realization that the universe has something to say to you.
Yeah.
You see, wants to communicate, wants to meet, wants to engage with you.
Hmm.
You see, and so if that is alive within you, it's like that knowing that, oh, the all there is wants to meet me, wants to say something to me, and I have, so it's like an impetus, an encouragement to listen very carefully, to look very deeply, to put the ear, you know, to the dimensional ground
Hmm.
and listen for the vibrations, the leanings.
Hmm.
what what is there. You see, that's the aspect that it's important to keep alive, to keep
Mm.
alive within one's being.
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems important to proactively. This is your teaching, really, in a way. Is like getting people to do this type of inquiry and this have this sacred curiosity, because really, at some point or another, they're going to end up doing it anyways. Like they, as a child, we do it, and then we sort of like just start going along to get along, and then but at some point something happens to us, and we go, why, but why, God, why, or why did this happen to me? and
Yes, yes,
and so certain events start happening in our lives that really start trying, God or the divine, the
yeah,
universe is
yeah,
trying to get us to be like, start asking that question, why
yeah,
again.
yeah. For precisely, I would say, if you're lucky, you see, you get to that point where you just are stopped in your tracks and you ask why.
Mm.
You confront the universe, or you confront existence. That's why. Um, I would say I'm always perplexed by the people that don't do that. You see, that don't get there and
Mm.
are not having that aspect, that that spirit of curiosity and and the why, for people for whom that is not alive in them.
Hmm.
But somehow it's been extinguished, so
Mm.
so to speak. And so yeah, so this is I would say is the key thing. It's like the key thing to know. It's like there is, one of the things I've been aware of, which literally brought me here to this place, to this spot, to this sacred city, was a sense of an internal kind of a spiritual GPS,
Hmm.
if you will. And it's always been quite astounding. It's brought me, and I've seen it bring that same quality, bring other people right to the place that um, yields the treasure,
Hmm.
you see. So it brought me absolutely to the city of Varanasi, living within a 15-minute walk from the royal palace complex associated with my lineage. So I'm literally living as physically possible to the royal palace as I possibly can. I can see it from my roof. It's right on the other side of my backyard. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, it can only be explained in my mind as a kind of spiritual GPS, you
Hmm.
see, that I've learned to trust. You see, and it's always guided me to the right people, to the people that I, on a certain meaningful sense, would recognize. It's like, oh, okay, yes. It's like, okay, I probably have known you before. We've had this conversation before.
Hmm.
We've hung out and vibed together before. Makes perfect sense. We've run around this city before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's great. So for anybody watching who's had those experiences where they feel like they've, there's a spiritual GPS that has
Mm-hmm.
somehow guided them to the situation, I think that
Mm-hmm.
you might say, keep going, keep following that
Exactly.
GPS.
Yeah, exactly. Trust it. Um, like I say, allow yourself to do so.
Hmm.
And what I help people sort of understand their sense, gain their sense of
Hmm.
permission to follow it, or the sense of help them get in touch with their sense of deservedness. It's like the riches, the wonder, the amazement, the meaningfulness, the
Hmm.
everything, all that it is
Hmm.
something you deserve as a being. It is, another way of saying it is finding your sacred inheritance as a being.
Mm.
It's like all of this is, it's like within all of the different spiritual traditions, there is an embedded sense of promise.
Mm-hmm.
The sense of promise and covenant, of somehow about life that is greater, life that is more meaningful. However they decide to describe it, nirvana, enlightenment, liberation, the kingdom of heaven, the happy hunting grounds, the paradise, and then, but there's always some embedded sense of promise, finding the kingdom, within, and it's all of that. But I would describe it as a natural inheritance as a being that is there, and the sense that you deserve. It's something that you innately deserve. So.
Well, maybe this is a good stopping point. Everybody, I think this is sort of the mission here at hand. It's what you've just described.
Yeah. So let me drop in a commercial.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm available for anybody who would like to follow their curiosity. I love to teach. I love taking on apprentices. I love creating workshops and things. And so...
Where can people find you? Where's the best place for them to find you? Your website?
Let's see. The best place to find me would be, my email is yourdoveInIndia@gmail.com. That's yourdoveInIndia@gmail.com. And my website is michaeldove.net.
Awesome. Well, this has been a really fun interview, Michael. So great, my good dear friend, to chat with you as always. So namaste, and we'll do it again someday.
Absolutely. Okay.